We should have just stayed in town. We could have went like to the local bar right on the main street and saw a bear ran across it.
Did I tell you about the time that my dad was home alone and there was the bear sighting thing?
He showed me the video.
Dude, he's all right. So for people that I didn't tell, that my dad was, so I was on vacation with my mom and my siblings in Florida. My dad was home alone. He's sitting outside, like having his morning coffee, and all of a sudden this huge black bear rolls up. And it's just like
huge black
he's
bear.
Huge. Like it's a good sized black bear. Like it's a mom black bear. And he's just sitting outside like on the little patio thing and he's just watching it, not really moving anywhere. And then he decides to start like kind of chasing it and like going at the bear, like making noises, like just like yelling and screaming. And then I don't understand what his plan was, if he like caught the bear, but the bear turned around and then sure enough, like half an hour later, the bear was back. And we were like, dude, stop egging the bear on. We're in Florida,
He showed me a video
yeah.
that he's got, and he's like yelling at the bear. And then the bear turns and charges at him, and he runs. You can see him on the phone. Runs inside, slam. I'm like, what? What's wrong with you? Yeah. Well, I wanted to get him away from the trash. I'm like, who cares?
He didn't want to flip the trash barrel over. Like he didn't want to pick up the trash that badly that he's chasing out bears. And I'm like, all right, just don't do things until don't do anything until we get home.
Yeah,
like that's it.
Leave the bear alone.
I like bought him like throwing axes and stuff. Like so, like if we leave again, this is where these are. Come and get them. You'll be all set. You know, he's a character, man. My father's something else. My father's been the fourth most requested guest to have on this show, and I refuse to do it until maybe in a year or two. I would too, but like I would rewatch that episode just to see what he said. But I just don't know how he's gonna react to it and like what he's gonna say. And
I'll tell you, last year I was going to get my bike tuned up before. I don't remember, or the year before. It was the year before.
Yeah.
And I remember when I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to the Holy Land in November. He's like, yeah, Adam told me. I'm like, yeah, Jerusalem, it should be fun. He's like, it's not Israel. I'm like, oh yeah,
Palestine.
Half hour history lesson. Brought it up on the computer, showed me what they've done over there. I'm like, well, okay, I said the wrong thing. I should have just said nothing.
For sure should have said nothing. Yeah, he
showed me the map he's got hanging up.
Dude, he loves it. He's all about it. If he could go back there and make some kind of a difference there, he would. Like immediately. Like he would quit his job and he would go there.
It was an awesome trip. I'm like, okay, I'll make sure I use the right terminology.
It's incredible. Yeah, definitely just be careful around him for sure. So we've had to switch gears. We've had this bear hole thing going on for a while. Mm-hmm. Do you think, so for people that don't know, bear holes basically, it's a watershed that is no longer a watershed. Is that right? Like,
well, it's
still kind of a watershed. It's an inactive watershed.
Thanks, Ethan. That water's good.
So basically what we've been trying to do is create more passive recreation in Bear Hole, essentially, right?
Well, I would say call attention to more passive recreation.
Right.
Well, this really started, so listeners out there, this really started because of Adam and Scott Talbot, and to a lesser extent, Tommy Price, of harassing me about mountain biking in Bear Hole. Yeah, so, like any good politician, I created a committee.
Like any good politician, he just said yes to everything we wanted.
Well, yeah, we did. We created a committee to kind of, because there's multiple users groups. Well, actually, I created a committee after we got complaints about you guys trail building.
Yeah, we were doing, which we didn't do anything, just in case anyone's listening. We hadn't done anything yet, but whatever. But
it was good, and you guys have, and I had talked to Scott back when I was running for mayor, and we did the Mayor Sullivan at the time had that mountain biking thing where you guys partnered.
That was our initial Bear Hole bike ride, right?
Where you partnered up with, what was it? It's West Springfield.
What is it called? I don't know. Well, I have no idea. What is it called? It's West Springfield. Is that what it is?
Yes. Yeah.
It's West Springfield.
With her group. Didn't you guys partner with like her
We
group?
We started it, and she was involved somehow. She wanted to be like a title sponsor or something. Yeah.
None of that matters.
I have no idea.
We were riding through, and Scott Talbot was telling me like his experiences with, what's it, the New England organization?
NEMBA.
Yeah. And like how he has trail building skills, and then they'll bring them out here. And we had talked a bit about that. And then it kind of faded away. It ran for mayor, got in, and then you guys did your ride 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
And that kind of started it all up again. And we said, well, yeah, I understand, like more trails. It's good. There are a lot of trails there. People know about it, but the trails were just kind of haphazard because a little quick history lesson of Bear Hole. Back probably 150 years ago. It used to be a little resort for like the rich people down the hill and in Springfield to come out in the wilderness, and it wasn't the same wilderness that it is now. It used to be more farmland, but there used to be a resort there, and then that left, and then time went on. Westside developed. We started using the reservoir. We created the reservoir to use that as drinking water, and then Westside continued to develop and got so big that we needed to buy land in Southwick and Westfield in the well fields, and we take that water now, and we don't use Bear Hole water anymore. The reservoir is still there, the kind of infrastructure is still there, but there's all kinds of red tape to actually get it used again.
Right.
So it's technically still a watershed. We don't use the water, and it would be, and we probably, even if we like reinstituted it as a water source, because we can pump about 1 million gallons a day there under the state rules.
Right.
We would probably put a well in or something. We wouldn't use it the same way it is now.
Right.
So we've always wanted to encourage. It's kind of like Ashley. No one listening probably knows Ashley Reservoir.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. There's gonna be like 8 people.
Like,
Although honestly, maybe more people from town will listen to this show, like just for this specific
just
episode.
maybe they'll become listeners.
I don't know if I want the town of West Springfield as a listener base, to be entirely honest.
Well, hey, gee, you guys' business there. Encourage them.
Yeah,
to come
but
up.
this is like, so the ski shop and this are not directly related. Like I fund this, the ski shop funds itself. Like I just run the ski shop. It's a different thing. If that were the case, then we'd have a lot more money to do promotions. I wouldn't need sponsors, and it'd be way better financially for me. But right now, it's just I do it because it's fun. You know.
All right.
It's
So people like any like natural resource, I guess, whatever. It's got hiking trails around there, but this developed because it was a river. We made it a little pond or reservoir, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And then we've used it, and trails have been out. There's a quarry on one side, and what's that trail that goes through it? The New England Trail cuts through. So it is kind of a huge resource, and it's like 1,300 acres, I think, or something like that. 1,300 acres.
It's big.
On both sides of the Mass Pike. So it's a huge asset. And the first time I rode when you guys had that group going, I was riding next to someone. We were going through, and someone said like, "Wow, where are we?" I'm like, "West Springfield." They're like, "No, we're not." I'm like, "Where did you think we rode to? Oil?"
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we are close to Oil, but
teleported.
We're still in West Springfield, and it's crazy that you can live in such an urban little town.
Yeah.
And then literally get out of your car, walk 5 minutes in the woods, and feel like you're in the woods. I mean, you are in the woods.
You are in the woods, but like you're in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Almost like you're.
It's not like Mittenay Park, which is like close
it's like
to a lot of stuff.
Up, yeah, and there's
fields,
swing sets and shit.
There's nothing in Bear Hole besides like the stream, the reservoir, and the trails. So I think we're talking about how we started this whole thing. So we did that with the idea of there are trails in there, but a lot of this stuff was built by like the DPW for business
fire roads and stuff like that.
So the idea was to create trails that connected. You know all that crap. I don't know.
I know So basically, the idea
I ride
was
these
like,
mountain bike trails. I'm like, I would never walk this. It's miserable.
Yeah,
back and forth.
It is back and forth. But that's the thing is like we had a lot of people that were wondering like, okay, this is supposed to be a multi-use trail, right? Like so, they think when we say mountain bike trails, like we're building mountain bike trails, people seem to think that it meant they couldn't walk it or couldn't use it for anything else, and we're doing like this downhill park in Bear Hole, and it's just not the case. You know, the case was like we were trying to make something that was accessible for everybody that also connects existing trails together. Yeah. So like you don't have to go out to the main road every time you want to go on a new trail, you know, because the way it was before was like you'd do a little trail and it'd be fun, and then you'd be back at the main fire road and you'd have to go find a new trail somewhere else, like in a different part of Bear Hole. And Bear Hole is so like it's nice. You want to be in that the whole time. It adds to the experience because you're connecting basically a whole ride together or a whole run together or a whole hike together. Like people were just concerned, I think, that we were gonna like exile the dog walkers and the runners of the world.
And the good thing, since we've started this and kind of you and I have called more attention to it using social media, I've heard from people that they've never seen so many people in there before. Yeah. And like we always had the issue with, and not to like shit on people who want to ride quads or dirt bikes, but there's been a lot of problematic use of that in the lower part of Bear Hole before, for sure, which drove people that would want to walk or bike back there. They were a little worried about it, and they wouldn't use it. So no good uses were happening. It was all bad uses. So no one would go, and it got a bad kind of rap for itself. People would go down there and do their drug deals, whatever else. But because of what we brought to it, it's really cleaned all of that up. Especially in the southern portion.
It's been a lot better.
Where we've really had no incidents, really. And all I hear from people is they'd see other people out there walking their dogs or hiking or running or whatever.
Yeah, initially it was almost like people were treating it like a fishing spot, you know? They were treating it where, like, this is my fishing spot. You can't know about it. If we tell everybody, everybody's going to know, and then all the fish are going to be gone. But it's not like that. It's trails, you know?
Yeah.
All you have to do is pass someone, wave, like, not be completely in the middle of the trail. And if they're on the bike, they just wave at you and move on, you know? Like, they're not in your way in any sense, you know?
That's a great analogy, too. I'm going to use that.
You should. It really is. But that's
really
how people were treating it. Yeah, because, like that's...
some people knew about Bear Hole and didn't tell anyone about it. A lot of people didn't. It's
a secret. It was like if you lived on Bear Hole Road or you lived immediately in the vicinity. Like I live on Rogers, which is right across the street from Bear Hole, basically. And I would use it, and I wouldn't really tell anybody about it. I'd just go ride it for myself if I wanted to get out in the woods for a little bit. And that's what most people were using it as. And in the beginning, there was a lot of pushback because people were like, "This is my spot," you know. Like you can't tell.
I don't want more people driving back here. And
Exactly. Like I mean, I get it, and I would feel the same way if it was my fishing spot, but it's not a fishing spot. It's an open trail system
too. Like it's trying to, like, so I understand like neighbors' frustrations on Bear Hole Road. We don't want to drive a ton of more traffic. We already have speeding problems with people not doing what they should be doing.
Right.
But Bear Hole is bigger than just that section too, because we have the Four Corners, we have Great Plains Road and Morgan Road. So in reality, it's trying to get more people educated about all the other access points we have, and we're trying to we just add 70 acres to it last year, and we're trying to kind of on the down low, although everyone's watching, but we're trying to add like another 200 acres to it as well.
Yep.
So that every time we add more space, it's more access that we can kind of create legal access. So everyone's not going down Bear Hole Road. You might kind of go to the corner of Bernie and Piper and shoot up there and grab your bike off the back of your car and go in that way.
Right. Yeah, it's we'll see what ends up happening to it. I haven't been as involved with it as I probably should be in the last 6 months because I don't like going to meetings. I don't like doing the political stuff. I'm not real good at it. Like every once in a while.
It's not really political. It's just make sure all the parties play together in the sandbox.
Yeah, exactly. Like I did my part, right? Like I brought some attention to it. Like now you guys do your thing. Like I can step away from it, I think. But it's we'll see where it goes. I like it. I like the involvement, and I like that it's kind of creating a space where the youth in the immediate area can use it as a spot to go and try out new forms of recreation, right? Like they can try riding mountain bikes, they can go hiking, they can do these kind of things that, it's not a traditional stick and ball sport, but they have the ability to go outside and use what's right there.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it doesn't cost you anything if you want to go. I mean, if you want to bike, I mean, there are ways to get bikes for free, but bikes do cost money for sure. But you can go for a hike, you can go for a run, you can just go explore for zero cost to you. And I think that's an important part of why we did all of this was so that people can use a space a little bit more safely and use it a little bit more functionally.
And it's brought more attention to it town-wide, and in a lot of good ways for Bear Hole itself, in that we have the carbon restrictions on it now because we're going to sell the carbon from the trees.
Right.
And I actually have a meeting this week with Audubon about the conservation restriction, expanding that, and kind of permanently protecting that forever. So that's always the two parts of the coin there. It's like, we have this great land and it's good, but development seems to encroach everywhere, especially in West Springfield. How do we make sure that it never touches this, because we think this is a real jewel for the community?
Yeah. No, I agree for sure.
So good job, Adam.
Yeah, I say, hey, listen, if you want to start paying me, I'll start doing a better job. On a flip note, something that I don't think has been as popular, or maybe has been popular, the marijuana deal in town. Like what's the deal with it? I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand. Like it went for a while where like you were like, okay, yes, we will allow the sale of recreational and medical marijuana in town. And then the town council was like, no, we're not. We're out on this. Like we don't want to do anything about it. So what's the deal with it? What's the fight against it? I don't understand the points in all directions. You were pushing pretty hard for it, which I give you credit for. Like I think it's an intelligent decision, because every other town in the area is going to have it anyway. If someone wants it, they're going to be able to get it, and they're bringing it back home to West Springfield anyway. So all that's going to happen is if someone doesn't want to leave their couch and buy it in West Springfield, they're going to buy it illegally off someone else
in their backyard.
Like exactly. So what's the deal? What's the negative to it? I'm confused about what the points that everyone was making.
All right, so let's kind of take it back where, for the listeners who aren't in Massachusetts, medical marijuana was passed, I think, in 2010. Recreational passed by a ballot initiative in 2016. right? Was it 2016?
16, yeah.
Was it 2016?
It wasn't last year.
So it was 2016. It passes the ballot initiative, and like the state, being the state, makes everything incredibly bureaucratic. So I was on the planning board when I was 21-ish, and then was also the planning board was rep to the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. All that sounds really boring, but it means that I had an early involvement in medical marijuana when it passed and when the zoning rules, which is kind of what matters for a community, began to roll out, and kind of saw the long and tedious process the state took in like kind of rolling those out. So it passed in 2010. Like we have 2 permanent medical marijuana facilities in town that still aren't open because the bureaucrat, the rules are exhausting. But so I had an early kind of opportunity to see what happened, and a lot of communities, they didn't know what happened. It was changing, so they put a moratorium, which essentially is like, hey, on this issue, nothing's going to happen for a year while we study it and figure it out, which is fair in a lot of senses because it's something, an illegal drug, which is now totally new. Yeah. What are we going to do? So when I was the lawyer in Agawam, which I mentioned, and then in West Springfield, I wrote the medical marijuana ordinances for both those communities for zoning-wise and got them passed. So I had some experience on that end and kind of experience like kind of hearing from the folks from Colorado when they came in into California during the medical process, and then now with the recreational process. And I took kind of no stance in 2016 because the 4-year term was on the ballot, and that's what I cared about.
Yeah.
But it passed. So when it passes at a ballot question, what that is essentially saying is like the residents of the voters of Massachusetts are saying to the legislature, we want this, make it possible. So there was this question that was voted on, which was very commercial friendly for the marijuana industry. It got sent back to the legislature. They changed it all up. It came out of the legislature, and they essentially said, look, communities, if you want to do this, you can do it. But if you don't want to do it and you voted no in 2016, you can outright ban it. If you voted yes, you have to go back to the ballot box at a local election. But if you voted no, your town council or legislative body, whoever that is, can ban it. So West Springfield narrowly voted no. I want to say it was like less than 500 votes voted against legalizing medical marijuana statewide in 2016. So now we're in 2018. So fast forward 2 years, these new rules are out, kind of there. And the tough thing about this is, unlike alcohol in a way and nicotine, there really is no like hard science on it because it's been a Schedule I substance since
nobody's been
who knows
a long time,
forever.
Yeah.
Essentially, in our terms, forever.
Yeah.
So there's been no real research on it because the federal government doesn't give money to research a Schedule I narcotic. They just don't do it. They don't care.
Yeah.
So there's no real hard science on it, and there's no like, let's say if you get in your car and you drive after leaving the bar. Although this is also controversial right now in Massachusetts, you can get a breathalyzer and they can says you blew over a .08 while you're legally intoxicated.
Right.
Which actually is in court right now. They're probably going to get tossed out, and there will be no breathalyzer.
Okay.
But that's a separate issue. So there's no real like science around like, is it bad, is it good? Everyone has their own opinion.
Yeah, right.
Even like looking at literally scholarship, like real college papers and everything. And
like
I don't
actual
mean like
smart people.
I don't mean like
not,
you writing a paper for your college class.
Yeah, right.
That you're late on. I mean like
yeah,
doctoral people writing
right.
real research about it. It's conflicting. There's really no answer.
Yeah.
The real answer though is it's now legal, just like alcohol was back after 1921 in Massachusetts. So what do you want to do with this? How are we going to deal with it? So West Springfield voted no, Agawam voted no, more narrowly than we did, but every other city around us. So folks that aren't listening, or that are listening but don't know West Springfield, we're in Hamden County. We're the center of 5 other cities. So it's West Springfield, and then there's 5 cities around us. Yeah. 4 of the 5 cities around us voted yes. Agawam voted no. We voted no. Right. And all those other ones have now, to some extent, kind of wrote their zoning ordinance and allowed it, or whatever else is happening. So I had said back when the council, and I actually sponsored this. Right after the vote happened in November, I wrote a moratorium for a year, I think, until the end of until the beginning of 2019, a 1-year moratorium on the sale or whatever, any business that involves recreational marijuana, and saying that like, because I saw what happened with medical marijuana, we don't know what the state's going to do. We need to protect West Springfield and the businesses there and the residents there, and make sure nothing happens until we know what they say, and then we can take our own action after that. Right. And my idea was let's give us time to talk about this, think about it, study it, figure it all out. So I did that back in December of 2016 it passed. Now we fast forward. Now the idea is I don't make the rules, separation of government. I enforce the rules. The town council is supposed to make the rules. So in doing that, I said in January of 2017, look, we have a year to figure this out. We should follow closely what the state's doing, and then we should take appropriate action. Well, beginning of 2018, they just say, hey, we're going to ban it.
Yeah.
So I had said, well, and I've heard people say, like, well, it's going to be a lot next to this school. It's going to be in my backyard. They're going to be selling across the street from me. It's like, no, you people are crazy. It's not going to be like that.
Yeah.
So I wrote, with the help of our planning department and the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, what I thought would be a reasonable zoning ordinance to allow it.
Okay.
And then pushed that to the council and said, here's what it would look like if we want to consider it being allowed.
Yeah.
Well, they freaked out and said, I'm trying to push it down their throat and allow it. And people came out of the woodwork saying everyone's going to be high and they'll be walking around like zombies. Literally, someone said that. There's going to be zombies in the streets.
I read that comment.
And I think, unfortunately, I take some of the fault in that we didn't handle it. I didn't think it was being as crazy as it was.
There was an immediate.
I was taken aback by the amount of people that just were out saying no, without wanting to have a discussion. And that's all I told the council when I sent them this ordinance. Look, I can't build a wall around West Springfield and say that marijuana is not going to take place here because let's be serious. It's already here.
It's been here for way longer than it's been popular even.
Yeah.
It's been here.
So it's funny. After the vote went down, my mother knew I was pissed off and in a foul mood. So we went out to lunch the next day, and she's like, "Well, I don't get it. There was marijuana in my high school 40 years. She grew up in West Side. 40 years ago, when I was in school. What's the big deal?" I go, I don't know.
I think it's people that have never smoked pot that will go, for the most part, that go into it and they look at it with complete bias and they go, okay, this is clearly a drug. We're clear. It's gonna. It's like, have you ever seen that episode of The Office where Dwight's interviewing everybody in the office basically, and is talking to Jim, and Jim's like, well, how do you know what marijuana does? It can't be a memory loss drug. You just said it's a memory loss drug. How do you know? How can you be asking me, what this drug does? It's just nobody actually knows what it is or what it does, and nobody has enough information for people that don't do it. And then the people that do it obviously are like, oh yeah, let's all do it. Everybody should be. Everybody.
It's tough too because you hear all the crap out there. I mean, you look at it. Yeah. There's a study from I want to say it's the 60s or 70s. I'm not really sure. Maybe it was even earlier than that. about the fact that it's really not that bad for you, and it's always been politics involved in making it illegal. There was a committee, a congressional committee that said, no, this shouldn't be illegal. It's not that bad for you. And all of a sudden, boom, we create the schedule of drugs, and it's a Schedule 1 drug. Why? No one knows. But it's generally politics. And people saying that I've heard so many times that it's a gateway drug.
That's what we learned.
People
in
that
school,
use
that's
heroin,
how we were taught.
They use marijuana, but no one ever says it. And I've heard that sometimes.
And we were like, maybe, but they also breathe and walk their dogs. It's not.
Honestly, they probably did use marijuana, but they also probably drank and they also probably smoked.
Yeah, totally.
But it's only bad because marijuana was illegal.
Yeah.
If marijuana was legal, no one would have cared that people used marijuana and then did heroin.
Yeah.
They might have done heroin anyways. They might have had a really shitty upbringing. Who knows what happened?
I think, I don't know. I don't know anything about any of that.
They used a ton of pain pills. I don't know. I mean, you don't just jump. I'll tell you, I've heard of no one just going I smoke a joint. I really got to shoot up right now. I've never heard that from anyone.
I've never heard that either before. And my thing is okay, we know alcohol is bad for you. We know eating too much is bad for you. Are we gonna not allow you to buy McDonald's?
Yeah, sugar is the most addictive substance in the world.
Exactly.
Look at all the fat people we have.
I know. Look, it's unbelievable. And you look at the studies they do with mice, where that's they will die if they can't have sugar. They need it. They will go through anything to get sugar. So it's interesting to me that that marijuana is held to this standard.
And the tough thing is, it's look, I agree. I'm not saying if you go start smoking joints, your life's gonna be perfect. You're gonna be a great, outstanding citizen.
I'm not even saying I'm for it. I
know a lot of alcoholics that aren't great, upstanding citizens, but that's legal. So it's sure. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Yeah. But part of it is with federalism and making choices. You're an adult.
Yeah.
Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Should you smoke a joint and drive a car? Absolutely not. But you shouldn't go black out at the bar and drive a car either.
Yeah.
Which seems to be more socially acceptable than smoking, period. Which is kind of crazy. How socially acceptable alcohol is and how bad it is for you in the long run. It's kind of crazy to see how bad marijuana is treated. when you're better off smoking instead of drinking.
And there's proven research, but everybody just goes, nah, fuck it, it doesn't matter. You know, like, so it's...
Because literally, when you search is marijuana bad, it's like you get all this drug-free crap about you're gonna die from it. Because, not from marijuana, because you're gonna go shoot heroin up and you're gonna die. It's like, but maybe you're not.
But we didn't ask about heroin. Yeah, we asked about what marijuana is gonna do. So, yeah, I guess I get it. And
it's tough.
And I didn't even want to have this long of a conversation about it, but it is a topic that people talk about for that long.
And look at it now. Like, look, it's kind of timely. Last week, was it? Like the week before? The state finally cut off its ass and allowed marijuana to be sold recreationally in Massachusetts. Yeah. Because, of course, I thought it would be a good idea to only license 2.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
But the lines were like 6-8 hours long. Yeah. To pay 20% more than you could pay your dealer.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but people are willing to do it legally.
There's a demand, and I'm sure if we closed all the liquor stores and then opened one liquor store on each side of the state, the lines would be the same. They'd probably be worse.
Dude, that's my thing. Is like like you go to Colorado, you go to California, you go to Oregon, like places that do it really well. Yeah. Like it's not like, and they've had it for a while now. There's not any issues with it. You know, like they have I mean, I'm sure they have some problems, but it's not like you go through a check and balance system that's unlike anything else that's available anywhere. Like they check your ID in. They scan. You're in the file forever. Whatever the file is, you're in it for the rest of time. You have to wait in the waiting room. Only like 2 people in the room. Light.
Yeah. No one's scanning my ID.
Nobody cares.
They look at me like, you look old.
Yeah.
You're fine.
You definitely look old now. Yeah. It's like, hey, being the mayor takes its toll, I guess.
Yeah.
You know?
It's and a lot of it is because, with my experience with my town council, back to your original question, really was, they just didn't want to talk about it. Yeah. Because all I had said, let's, the moratorium is 6 more months. Yeah. Let's just talk about it for 6 months. And if the first meeting or the last meeting in December, you disagree with me or you don't want to, or you've decided and you've convinced me too that this is bad, we can just ban it. It's not a big deal. Yeah. I think just to ban it 6 months ahead of time just because some people got up in town hall and said no, like.
And I'll be honest, like even like I'm on the Conservation Commission, right? Like when I go to those things, the only time that people show up for those meetings is to say no. Mm-hmm. They never show up to say yes. If we're doing something positive for the community, it is crickets in there, you know? But as soon as we want to allow somebody to cut down some trees somewhere, the whole place is full, you know? So
and it's hard because when it comes to marijuana, I've talked to people who support it and said, well, I agree with what you're trying to do, but I don't, like I can't publicly support kids. Like, I don't want to get up there and
100%.
They're gonna knife me in the back.
I shouldn't even really be talking about it at all, you know? Like it's there. I'm not like, and I'm not in a position where it really matters, you know? So, but at the same time, like people probably don't want to hear us talking about weed the whole time either. But
but it's important. It's tough because it's really hard, and I gotta give a shout out to Sean Powers. I give
the only dude that voted.
And not only did he not only vote in favor with me, the only councilor that did that, but he spoke in favor of it too, and kind of expressed his opinion of what's going on. And it's hard when you don't have politicians, not just this issue, but any issue, that don't really want to take a stance on something because they're afraid to get voted out of office. Yeah. You get shitty government. That's what you get. Yeah. So, is it unpopular? I don't know. Like, I don't want to gauge everything by how popular it is. Do I think this is what's good for our community? Yeah. This would have been good for our community. So that's what they elect me to do. And I elected the councilors to do.
And it's less sketchy, too. Like, you're not going to buy from a drug dealer that may also be selling other things. You talk about gateway drugs. Like, that dude may have other things that he's selling because that's his new job.
You only got $5 on you? Well,
this is what I got.
The marijuana's going to cost you 20. The heroin.
This is all I got. Yeah, right. Like, so that's realistically, you're allowing people to buy something that's no more dangerous than alcohol.
I heard a lot of stories, people being like, yo, well, I just can't wait till this is legal so I can stop giving $300 a week to this shady guy.
Dude, that's what,
like some dude comes to your house?
Same. Yeah, somebody comes to your house or you go to his house and it's like, it's not a thing that people want to do all the time. So I think people are just looking for their lives to be a little bit easier. You know, that's really what it is.
Hey, someday there's going to be home delivery from the legal marijuana establishment.
Amazon's going to have it first. I'm calling it right now. If I can bet on that, like I'll bet on that right this second. Jeff Bezos is going to make that shit happen so fast. So before we get into, we have a couple Instagram questions, but before we get into that, my last topic is, it seems like a lot of people in town, a lot of kids in town. So like, I guess I should back up. The West Springfield High School canceled their ski club this year. There's just not enough signups for it, right? So it seems like
ski club, because we don't have a ski team.
There's no ski team that got canceled years ago, like before I was even in high school, and that's that long ago. Your
grades probably wouldn't have allowed you to
play sports. Now listen, my grades were fine. I would have been allowed to play whatever. I played basketball, like I was all good, dude. But so that's gotten canceled. Do you think there's a decline, I guess, in kids wanting to be involved in sports and active recreation because of technology, or do you think it's just kind of like it's just changing?
Would say,
or is it a money thing?
I would say when it comes to sports generally, I wouldn't say they're less inclined to do sports generally. Although I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like, I would definitely say there's less general involvement because of social media and because, like, I mean, the amount of kids, like, I subbed in classrooms 2 weeks ago.
I saw that, yeah.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
But the amount of, like, times I had to take kids' phones away or tell them to stop using, even in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Like, we should use our phones. I'm like, what do you need your phone for?
Yeah.
Like, you're here for 6 hours.
Who are you calling?
They'd be like, I have to go to the bathroom. Like, you don't have to go check Snapchat. No one sent you a message.
Yeah.
It's fine. You don't have to go to the bathroom right now.
Yeah.
But I would think technology is definitely part of it. And generally going outside, which is why Bear Hole's great. But I would say for skiing and, like, snowboarding, I think there's also a kind of a cost barrier entry of, like, hey, why don't you go play basketball, which costs nothing, versus skiing. And not to, like, West Side is I don't think we're really known for having that kind of, like, building it up. No, actually, do you know Mark Kenny? Kind of, he lives on, yeah. So, awesome guy, hosted a fundraiser for me a couple weeks ago, and we were getting ready for it. Talked about, he said, well, I'd really like to help in getting a ski team. Like, what do we need, how we do it. So I shot Glenn Doulette, our athletic director, a text. He immediately called me, which is always weird when someone
you text them and they immediately,
But we talked about it, and he said, there's just not enough interest. He said, we have the ski team or the ski club, but there's not enough interest for a ski team. And he said a lot of it is, in a way, there's that cost of, like, I don't know how much skis cost.
I think it's a perceived cost. That's what I think it is. I don't think it's the actual cost.
And I think there's not a lot of people, like, depending on what your family does and if that's, like, so I never skied till I was older. Until I was probably 18. Yeah. Like, my family just didn't ski. They didn't do that. I don't know. My parents are uncoordinated as hell. So that was just never a thing we did. And I didn't have friends who skied. I had friends that snowboarded, so I started doing that. But unless it's there and kids have an opportunity to do it, so, for you as a ski shop owner and for me as the mayor of the town, to maybe if we can create some kind of environment where that was introduced to them, because playing soccer or basketball or tennis, that we have that at the high school, it's really easy to get into. Like, everyone plays soccer, basketball, and baseball as a kid. Yeah. Like, so even at the park and rec level, to have something like that would introduce it to kids easily without that perceived barrier of entry of, like, you got to buy all this stuff. Like hockey. Like, hockey's popular. Yeah. But hockey's expensive.
It's true.
Hockey's probably more expensive than skiing and snowboarding.
Yeah.
Easily. Especially if you're on a travel team and you're driving around the state.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're probably right. There's definitely a higher perceived cost, but also, like, where do you go ski?
Yeah, far away.
You got to drive somewhere. Yeah. It's a production to have to go spend a day
you
skiing.
Have all your gear.
Yeah, you got to drive 2 hours away, and, like, So I think people perceive it as, like, this. They got to schedule off a whole day, and now everyone's busy. Yeah. Because they're doing all this stuff, and they don't, like, I don't have a day I can go ski. Even though it's probably good for you to get away from this. And everything else. And just spend some time in the mountain, but
it is interesting. Like, that perceived cost is a real thing, and I think there are less people doing it. Like, when they told me they had, like, 4 kids sign up for ski club, I was like, what, dude? Like, ski club was the best when I was.
I remember we had ski club. Now, I didn't do it. Yeah, but the option was there if I had wanted to. Now, part of it is too. It's like, so if I'm gonna go play soccer and I kick the ball and look like an idiot, I look like an idiot. Who cares? Yeah. If I go ski and fall on my face and die, well, that's a problem.
Yeah. There's a problem.
So there's, like, more of that, like, more of that skill too. It's almost like golf. Like, golf is
skiing has been perceived
bigger decline.
Yeah.
But, like, you go and you golf. Now, at least when you go golf, if you look like a moron, you just look like a moron.
Everybody looks like a moron.
I tell you to have another beer. Life's good.
Yeah.
You're not, like, skyrocketing down a mountain, like, gonna hit a tree.
Yeah.
So I think there's also that part too of, like, look,
it's
not that hard. And it really isn't that. Like, when I learned this, this is not that hard. Like, I was so worried about nothing.
No.
But there's definitely that section too of, like, how is it easy to show people that, like, it's probably easier than it actually, as a golfer, it's easier than golfing.
100% it's easier.
Being a good skier is easier than being a good golfer.
I can definitely ski. I can definitely not golf well. You've seen me golf. My golf is horrible.
Terrible.
Yeah, I'm miserable. But it's the same kind of thing. Golf and skiing get compared to each other all the time because they're both somewhat expensive, right?
Yeah,
and
they're
it
more
requires
like
a bunch of
sport,
gear.
yeah.
You know, that's really what it is. It requires a membership somewhere or a pass, and it requires you need clubs or you need skis or you need all this stuff. Versus the other sports, you don't really need as much. But
you can show up like dressed like this, but wouldn't do well, and play basketball.
Yeah, 100%. You totally could. But that's kind of where it's gone. So I'll be interested to see. But like, I guess there hasn't been a push enough for people to offer an ease of entry in the same way that there has been for other sports. You know, because if somebody asked us to, we'd donate 5 packages or something like that for people to learn how to ski and be on a race team. You know, we donate race packages so that it costs nothing. Just to have us as like the promotional sponsors.
Yeah.
You know, like we would do that all day. And I even offered it a couple of years ago.
Why don't you guys do that?
Let's do it. I offered it a couple of years ago. All right, then tell the high school, whoever wants to be on a race team, we'll offer 5 scholarships.
This is a perfect Facebook Live video.
It is. It's great. That's exactly what we need. 5 scholarships. We'll give kids everything they need to ski.
And you would probably have the bigger end because you're in town and people, I assume, shop from you guys a little. Well, depending if you turn them away or not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe we threw them out. I don't know. Probably not. But yeah.
Or your father lectured about which is the right
I don't know. That's a different story.
But I think getting to those people and saying, like, okay, you ski. Would you be interested in, like, do you play a winter sport? No, you don't. Yeah. Would you be interested in playing winter sport? Like, would you consider competitive skiing?
Agawam's killing it right now.
Really? Agawam has a team? We don't?
A ski team, and they are killing it. Do you know how many people we get in the door buying ski packages, just beginner ski packages, to go and race on? It is.
So how do they do it?
I have no idea.
Wilbraham does too.
Wilbraham does
Big
too.
ski team.
Well, Wilbraham's also a nicer upper class community.
Yeah, but that's a point. But I was talking to somebody. I was talking to their coach a couple days ago because he's a customer of ours, and they also have an issue with signups and getting involvement and stuff like that. But Agawam right now, thriving with it.
Really?
They're doing so well, I guess. I don't understand it, but when we just sold another 2, 3, 4
well, it
packages
doesn't help for us either if we just cancel a ski club to try to get people.
Because we need 15 signups by this date or whatever. That's really what it is. But it's just, I don't know. There's got to be a way to make it more cost effective. And it's really, it's my fault, and it's everybody else's fault that wants to kind of put this thing together.
Part of it, I mean, part of it is like, I always seem to get involved in the back end of stuff happening, but to figure out how we can do it together. Because I mean, you're not going to do it on your own. I'm not going to do it on my own. But to have that conversation and like kind of get kids' interest. I mean, you guys have that video coming up, the movie that you do every year, on Sunday. So like, what kind of involvement is there of kids that go to that and let's say, hey, would you be interested in being on a ski team? Like, I'll go ski with these kids if they want to. That helps it. Like, I'll look like a fool, but it's fine.
If it helps, it sure.
Yeah.
This is a good point. Are you coming Sunday?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay, all right, I'll see you there. 6 p.m. I think, or 4 p.m.
I thought it was,
like that.
My schedule says like 4:30.
It's 4 p.m., 4:30, something like that. The swap ends.
Whenever I ask you what time something happens,
I don't know when things start. I'm there the whole time, so I don't need to know when they start. I'm there always.
My phone says 4:30 to 6:20.
All right, 4:30 to 6:20. Warren Miller movie premiere.
Fundraiser for the
Sunday.
Westside High School Ski and Snowboard Club.
Yep, which doesn't exist. But the fundraiser really, I mean, the money's going to go towards having trips instead of having dedicated. So normally the system's been like 6 trips to this mountain. Yeah. Now we're just going to do it 2 trips. You need to sign up in advance, but it doesn't need to be by this specific date because somebody else will book the bus. So it's a different thing entirely.
But it is a good conversation for us to continue afterwards of how
we should for sure.
I mean, we had a ski and snowboard club when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
So we definitely had one in high school. I don't know if we had a team.
You had a ski team, and you went to Westside High, right?
Yeah.
So you had a ski team at that point.
Really?
We had employees that were on the ski team.
Okay.
And that raced and that skied really well.
Yeah.
It's just it hasn't been around since 2000 and I'm wrong probably, but 2009 I think is 2010.
Well, it's tough too. If we don't have someone, we benefit a lot from like some of these sports because we have dedicated staff members that coach too and are there and promoting it.
Yeah.
So we don't have that.
You do need a coach.
There is kind of no one that's.
Yeah, for sure.
But you don't have to be like you could coach it.
I don't want to coach it.
I don't want you coaching either.
Yeah, I'm not a good coach. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a good role model. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I was going to do.
Yeah.
But you can get someone like in the community that has the time to do that.
Mark Kenny.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, awesome. You want to coach.
There you go. We get in some questions. Yeah, pull these things up. We got some fun.
I hit the bathroom?
Yeah, do this thing. All right, can we hit pause on this?
Yeah.
On a live video? We'll figure that out. All right, do it.
Question number 1.
All right, am I good?
Yeah.
All right. How do you manage being important? You're the mayor, and having time for fun activities.
Well, I don't really.
That was Victoria2923 who asked that on Instagram.
Yeah, shout out to Victoria.
How do I manage being important? Well, I don't really perceive myself, which is part of the problem I have. I don't really perceive myself.
I don't think you're
as
important
being
either.
important.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're Adam.
Yeah.
Like, it is interesting when my brother always mentioned, like, we go somewhere, people are like, oh, the mayor just walked in. I'm like, I'm just Will. Like, it's just.
Did you hear? So somebody
dude.
I knew was yelling, "Are you really the mayor?" Like at somewhere a while ago. Yeah. Like, are you actually the mayor?
Because the struggle is still like I'm 32. Like, we go to the bar together and like.
Right.
You're like, oh, that's the mayor.
Yeah.
No, I'm not the mayor.
That's not really the mayor.
I was actually at a place. I had a park and rec polo on, and I hear someone go. The guy was hammered. He goes, "That's the mayor." What?
Yeah.
And Carly's, "Oh no, that's this is the mayor's brother." I know the mayor. That's the mayor. I'm like, oh, we gotta leave. Yeah. But that is like I tell people, from before I was the mayor to now. Like, what you do when you run for public office, you lose your anonymity. Like, you're not going to walk into any place around Western Mass and be like, oh, I'm just someone else. Like, aren't you? I always get someone, aren't you like someone?
You do something?
No.
Yeah.
And, of course, that's the spin-off of social media as well, of everyone sees you, everyone sees your face. The idea is to always be on the news for something, good generally, but news for whatever. So people see you and, like, they recognize you, which is good. But the downside of that is, like, you walk in somewhere and they go, oh, aren't you the mayor?
Right.
So, like, if I don't want to be seen, I always go, like, far, like, Enfield or Northampton's not far enough north. But,
yeah.
But I like it. And a lot of times, too, like I said, I get to talk to people about whatever's on their mind and fix things. But, again, I still don't see myself as important.
So we've established that you're not important. So how do you manage your time? how do you manage your time? Like, how do you actually have fun? Like, because it is a lot of work. Like, they always say, like, salary is slavery, right? You know?
Yeah.
So how do you... make time for fun.
You're just full of these great little one-liners.
Dude, I'm just a talented. I'm just
let's not go too far.
Yeah, I'll go so far with it. So how do you actually manage your time?
That's the tough part too. Of also, like when we talked about like that when I miss events sometimes. Like if I want to go skiing, like I block a day off. Like Friday might be a good day for me because right now I got nothing going on.
Right.
Is like look in advance and go, okay, I got nothing important scheduled. If I throw on my calendar no meetings, my secretary knows don't schedule anything without asking me.
Yeah.
And ideally, that's a day where I can go off and do something. It's harder these times of year. Like my slowest time is really, which is good because I love the summer, like July and August. After kids let out of school in June, it's dead. Nothing. Everyone's trying to use their vacation in town hall.
Yeah.
And generally, like in life, is trying to like be away.
Right.
So town's slow. Beginning of the year, January through really middle of February before like the St. Patrick's Day stuff starts kicking up. That's slow for me, so it's great. But otherwise, it's just trying to like, pick events and say, okay, I have this one thing going on Saturday. I'd like to go away.
Right.
Can I justify skipping that so I can go away? Maybe this year I can. Next year I can. It depends. I'm not running, so it's not that as much of a deal. But it is a struggle because I hate missing stuff. I hate like yesterday. We got to hire someone next year. My brother and I cleaned the leaves for our 4 properties, and I missed Santa coming to Santa's house.
I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry.
But still,
I'm sorry
it's like,
you missed it.
And it's not like that I want to be there to see Santa because I know.
No, but people want you there, and it makes you feel good that people want you to be there.
You hang out with the kids, and my thing is always like, whenever I'm having a bad day here, like something's not going right, you go to the schools and meet the kids, and the kids are like, "Oh, mayor!"
Kids are psyched to see.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's the best part.
They're fun. They love life still. Everything's going well. Like it's fun to hang out with the kids. So
right.
But it is a struggle. It's just kind of a balancing game of like. There's always something going on. Like for example, September is the Big E. I'm at the Big E every day, as you know. So September, I don't take time. Like that's not. I know if it's in September, I'm likely not gonna be able to take personal time for myself. But I love the Big E, so it's okay.
Yeah. Can you kickflip?
I don't even know what that is.
Undisclosed.
Is that like a skateboard thing? No, I can't do that.
In relation to that.
So this is a skateboard thing, and if you can't kickflip, then we're supposed to end the episode right now.
I'm barely capable of skateboarding. And this is probably why I was never really a big skier or mountain biker because I struggle. Well, I struggle to stay on a road bike.
Yeah, that's that's fair. It's harder than it looks, I guess. Would you rather have toes for nose or nose for toes?
I'd say toes for a nose, otherwise you're smelling all the shit you walk on.
That's a fair. I actually Toes for nose or nose for toes? I can't even my brain's not working.
Honestly,
fast
I
enough
typed
to
this.
think
I
about.
didn't even realize what it said until you just read it out. Now,
Yeah.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. All right. So what was your answer? Your answer was nose for toes?
No. Toes for nose.
Toes for
If
nose.
you have nose for toes,
Yeah, I guess
imagine
that
all
makes
the
sense.
places you walk.
Yeah, I guess, but I'm not
Like
walking
your
that many
house,
places barefoot.
I doubt you clean.
I clean once a year. Yeah, like I've cleaned once since I've owned that house. Yeah. All right. Well, next question.
That was the
That's.
four
I
on
think I texted you one more. There was another one that was actually a real question too.
there. And I let you down.
It's on my phone. I might have texted it to you.
Nope.
It's in a text. It's not in a screenshot. Really?
Oh, I'm a liar.
All right. See, I told you.
Oh.
I know.
I didn't do it well. I'll just have to read it.
I'm on it.
Did you ever plan on being the mayor as a younger adult, or did it just happen?
So
Let's hear the story.
I've told this story so many times, but I never really I'll say it, before I actually ran, never really wanted to be the mayor. So I worked as a lawyer in Agawam and kind of got to know the mayor there. The mayor hired me, and my thought always was probably what other people think, like when they hear of me being the mayor and don't know me. It's like, wow, you got to be like this really smart, like everything's got to go right for you. You know me. So
I don't think that at all.
Yeah, you know me. But that's what some people think. Like you got to be like the superhero to be the mayor. You don't. But I thought that until and not to put Cohen down, the mayor of Agawam, Cohen. I met him. He was a normal person. Like we got along. We talked. I liked him. I respect him. I learned a lot from him. But I realized wow, okay, you're just a normal person, but you've done well, and this is what you wanted to do in your life, so you became the mayor. I've met judges, senators, congressmen now, and I always had that mentality of you got to be this perfect person, but they're just like us. They're just people that have aspired for public service and done things that have got them to where they are. So I would say I wanted to be mayor. The first thought of being mayor was back when I was in the planning board, and we'd have these things come up and be like, well, if I was the mayor, I'd do it this way instead of that way, but I'm not the mayor. So it started back when I was on the planning board and kind of if you're the mayor, you can do things the way you want.
Yeah.
But then I went to I finished undergrad, I went to law school, and the thought, in going to law school was maybe if I want to run for office someday, people will respect me more because one, back to your first question, I'm young.
Yeah.
And it's gonna take a long time for me to have that public perception of you're capable of doing anything.
Public respect,
which we really have
yeah.
still for you. We haven't found that yet.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Yeah.
But I went to law school.
You better be careful. I'm going to run against you next time.
In the community. I'll just save all these episodes.
Yeah, exactly. Me
Show
too.
them
I'm going to promote the shit out of them. My people will come out. Yeah.
So, really for me it was all timing. I wanted to be in public service. I definitely wanted to give back, and that's why I stayed in the planning board and got involved in all these other boards, which is why I know why you're getting involved, because you want to give back to the community you grew up in.
Right.
But I became a lawyer for Agawam because I was looking for an internship in law school, and Agawam was the only one that paid, which is a big deal when you're a legal intern.
For sure.
Everyone expects you to do this shit for free.
Yeah.
So from there, I stayed. I originally wanted to be a prosecutor. I went to law school to be a prosecutor. They pay so funny story. I worked as a store manager at Abercrombie & Fitch. I was making $37,000 a year.
Shout out to Brian Smuda.
Yeah.
I think he listens to the show.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
That's where I met Smuda. We worked together there. So I became a manager making 36, 37. I hated retail, hated everything about it, hated Black Friday, hated folding clothes, hated the smell of Abercrombie & Fitch. The clothes I have left, it still smells like Fierce.
That's tough.
So I went back to law school, and I had taken my law school entrance exams back when I was finishing my last year of undergrad. Did well. Only wanted to apply to Winnick because it was around here. So left Abercrombie & Fitch, went to law school, finished law school. Wanted to be a prosecutor, I always say, because I watched Law & Order, loved it. Well, I can't watch Law & Order anymore now that I know what lawyers really do.
Yeah.
You don't just shout objection and then argue it in front of the jury. But I applied, and they're like, yeah, well, we have jobs. We'll pay you $32,000 a year. I'm like, I'm sorry. I just went to law school, took out $100,000 in debt to make $5,000 less than I did when I was folding clothes.
Yeah.
That's not going to work for me. So Agawam offered to double my salary that I was offered as a prosecutor if I stayed with them, which I did, because that's a no-brainer. And then I met Mayor Sullivan in Westside, and he said, why don't you come be our lawyer over on the other side of the river, which is where I grew up. Yeah. No-brainer. Did that. He was supposed to run again, couldn't run again, he had to go back to the family business. So I kind of ran in his place. Yeah. And then there we go. And I really had thought, if I want to do this, if I don't do it now,
Yeah.
And men that never get the chance again. Like people say, why don't you wait 10 years? Like, well, I may be dead in 10 years. I don't know.
He
Like,
could be, yeah,
who
for
knows what's
sure.
gonna
Anybody
happen.
could be, yeah.
Yeah.
It's he was the first mayor. Sullivan was the first mayor that I was like, he's a normal person. You
Yeah.
know, like I remember meeting who's the guy before him?
Neffinger.
No, not before him.
Gibson.
He doesn't count. Neffinger's a skip. We skipped through him. Shout out to Greg Neffinger. But so who was it? Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
So he was
Ed
the
Gibson.
first one that I met when I was in like middle school, and it like actually made me nervous. Like I still had that mayor feel, you know,
Yeah.
where you're like, this is the mayor. Like he's not a real person,
Yeah.
you know, because he was the mayor for a million years.
Mm-hmm.
So then Sullivan came, and I was like,
I know you.
I know you. You're a normal guy. Like
Yeah.
I like you. You go to my gym. Like I see you there. Like so like you kind of have a perception that no, these people are real people. You know, like they're normal people. So when you came, I was like, yeah, he's just a guy. You know. So
But it's great. Like you have that because you know me. You know.
yeah,
someone.
right. I know
A lot of people
you're
that
a normal
don't
person.
know me are gonna have that same mentality that you had with Gibson of like, oh wow, this person's a superhero.
But I think this is going to be a good.
Like,
This will be a good and a bad thing for people because they'll understand now that you are a normal person.
Yeah.
And they'll also understand that they can just DM you at all hours of the night about their traffic problems. You know.
or
So
leaves.
that's-
Leaves are big right now.
Yeah, leaves are a big issue. Yeah. Yeah. You guys.
It's
gotta-
actually funny with leaves. I hate leaves. We had a delegation from the Irish Parliament when they're in charge of immigration, defense, and trade.
Yeah.
We're at the ICC, so shout out to the Irish Cultural Center on West Side of Morgan Road.
Yeah.
And I was talking to one of the guys, he's from Dublin, about leaves. And he's like, yeah, I don't know. Like lately, people have been putting leaves in bags. Like, that's so American. I'm like, what do you usually do with them? He goes, they just blow away and they go in the sewer and whatever. I'm like, really? He's like,
They
yeah.
just
Like,
go somewhere else.
I'm like, people are up my ass lately about leaves not getting picked up in the bags. He goes, wait, for Americans, all you care about is leaves. I'm like, oh, okay.
well, whatever.
But it's interesting, yeah. And they don't DM me about leaves, please. But whatever
Yeah.
else you want to know, I'm happy to be like try to be a normal person and just
Help out.
talk about stuff and kind of get you to do that ski club.
Yeah, there you go. We'll definitely do that. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Where can people find you on social media and anywhere else you want them to find you?
You can probably just type in Mayor Reichelt and everything pops up. But Twitter, it's Mayor Reichelt. Instagram, it's Will C. Reichelt. And Facebook is Will Reichelt or Mayor Reichelt.
Awesome. Thank you, Mayor Reichelt. We'll
My
see you later.
pleasure.
Thanks, guys. Bye.